Hospital Porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV. Now, I'm sure regular viewers will have recognised by now that I'm on Cowley Road again, and I'll just give you a quick 360 of this particular place, which I have featured before on Herpanwo TV as a major bohemian non-conformist district of Oxford. Hello. East Oxford. But I was walking down here and I saw something really remarkable. Here was a normal phone box. Of course, not many people use nowadays in the major mobile phones, but they're still there. But look what's on the side of it. We have these pair of eyes staring out of something broken, maybe a piece of paper or something. It's almost it reminds me a little bit, this image, of the zombies. If you watch my live show in Birmingham, at Birmingham Truth Juice, the real zombies. Do you remember the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention, so-called? Rear Admiral Dr. Ali S. Khan and his little thing about the zombie apocalypse. This is what this reminds me of. But look what it says underneath. We're closing in on undeclared income. If you declared your income, you have nothing to fear. At the bottom, go to gov.uk.sortmytax. Oh dear. So this whole advert, which must have cost an awful lot of money to put here, you see it's like a full-sized ad on the size of the phone box, is all about warning people who might have not declared any income that the government wants your money. They want your tax money, and you've got to hand it in. And this is really a threat here. You have these evil pairs of evil eyes here looking through at you. Zombies. I mean, it's like the zombies. You know, maybe they're counting on people thinking it's zombie-like. You know, it's really you're walking down a street, especially a non-conformist bohemian street like this, and you come across this. It's essentially a threat. We're closing in on undeclared income. Beware. So obviously it must have cost a lot of money for the government to put this here. .gov.uk sort my tax. They don't put up posters like this for nothing. And why is that? This might have something to do with what David Gauke MP, the Treasury Minister, said a few months ago, or I think it's a number of months ago now, over a year probably, but he put a little rant in his column, I think in the Independent or the Times, talking about small businesses and sole traders and people like that, and how if you pay them cash in hand and they don't declare that income, they're robbing the nation. He actually used the word robbing the nation, and I think he's referring in particular to if you employ a plumber or a painter and decorator or a builder, you pay him cash in hand. If you pay him cash in hand, then there's essentially no record or receipt or anything like that. There's no paper trail by which the government can actually make that income taxable. And David Gauke was thinking that people who do something like that are robbing the nation, because the government is not, the exchequer, that is the money from the taxes, and not getting that hard-earned, all that money they need so badly because they're so short to spend on healthcare and education and social services and things like that. And you know, you've got to think about these people before you withhold, you've got to pay tax. If you're entitled to be taxed, you've got to pay it. Well, firstly, the tax money also goes towards things like wars and environmentally destructive projects and things like that. But leaving that aside, I mean, 2012, David Gauke made this statement, and it was only a few years early, if you remember. Maybe he's counting on people having a short memory, that the government paid £3.8 trillion to what they called subsidising the economy. What it means is all the major international private banks were given £3.8 trillion to prevent them collapsing from the exchequer. That very same exchequer which they are now accusing your plumber Or the guy who puts new windows in for you and provides you with double glazing, of not funding. That's right. If you paid a guy who replaces a few tiles on your roof, cash in hand, you're robbing the nation. Yet, that very same government is accusing you of that. David Gauke, who was not actually Treasury Minister at the time, but his predecessor, and of course they're all in, probably members of the same Masonic lodge, gave £3.8 trillion to the banks. 3.8 trillion pounds. Do you know how much that is? It's the kind of money it's almost impossible to imagine. It's almost incalculable. A trillion is 1,000 billion. A billion is 1,000 million. It's hard to even for the human mind to get around it. It's basically, well, a trillion. Let me try to put it in perspective. If you shrink £1 million down to the size of a penny, even on that scale, £1 million. So even on that scale, £1 trillion, with £1 million down shrunk to the size of a penny. Even on that scale, £1 trillion is still £10,000. Yet, if you pay your builder or your plumber cash in hand, and he doesn't pay £70 or £80 towards for your tax, he's robbing the nation. And they've even put up a poster here to warn people about it. The world I'm living in now is beginning to take on a seriously surreal element. It's almost beyond my ability, and I'm something of a wordsmith. I'm a writer. I'm an orator. It's approaching a point where it's even beyond my ability to formulate a comment. The world is insane. It has to be insane for this black white, as George Orwell called it, doublethink, to be standing in front of it and seeing it in the most bohemian and non-conformist area of Oxford. I am at a loss for words. You wouldn't think it, but I am. I think it's, who was it who said it? I think it was Voltaire who said, persuade people to accept absurdities, to persuade people to believe absurdities, and you can persuade them to commit atrocities. Well, we have an absurdity that's beyond absurdity. People talk about the 9/11 as being absurdity. We committed atrocity, which was the war on terror. But this is something more absurd beyond that. And to see this here on Cowley Road with all these non-conformist graffiti and stuff like that. I mean, you've seen my video, I hope. If not, I'll put a link in the description box. My video, Non-Con Street. The incongruity of it leaves me breathless. Please, people, ladies and gentlemen, Herpanmo TV viewers, tell me I'm not the only one. Tell me I'm not the only person who is dumbstruck by this. I sometimes think, like, if something this bizarre and contradictory can't be comprehended by people, then what can? Well, where are we? Horrible sign in there. I moved a short distance, or quite a long distance actually. I've gone to a much less non-conformist and bohemian part of the city of Oxford, which is George Street, as you can see here. I'm outside, as you can see, Job Centre Minus, yet again, where people come to get jobs on the minimum wage or jobs for no money at all. I don't know if it's 400,000 or 800,000 people who are now doing work for no money. As I've spoken about before, you know, it's basically the slave market, in other words. But I wanted to talk about the poster you saw on the side of the phone box was aimed at people like me who are sole, businessmen, or at least I don't know if they call me a businessman. I'm a sole trader. I'm self-employed. Or this is there's another story that came out which I think is aimed at everybody, and that is it happened in 2009 when, if you remember, swine flu. Do you remember the swine flu outbreak and the horror and fear over swine flu? Basically it was like the new plague. Of course, it didn't do anything except give a few of us a headache, as you'll see if you look in the description box. If I remember to put it in, I'll put in my swine flu diary and or better still, my link to Ian R. Crane and his lecture on swine flu, which is pretty very interesting. I'm glad I went along to that. Basically, if you're a bloke, you just go to bed for a couple of days. If you're a woman, you get on with your life as normal. You know how it is. Basically, it's like any other kind of flu, maybe slightly worse. Anyway, there was a big news story at the time, which I will put a link in the description box to this. It was a story about economic analysts who were talking about the damage, wait for it, the damage that the swine flu outbreak would do to the economy. This was just 1 year after the big crash, and everyone was still really up in the air about it all. This engineered crash that took place, and they were speaking in kind of hushed tones. I remember there was a guy interviewed on the BBC saying, but if swine flu is going to do terrible damage to the economy, I said, well, how is that? Well, what it was basically because people being ill don't go to work. They don't go to work in their slave labour jobs. Secondly, they don't go out shopping, so they're not buying all these unnecessary trinkets that are sold in these big malls by these big corporations. So this apparently is what worried them when it comes to the economy. This again is just a recurring feature which was present in that poster on the phone box. That I'm just going to move a little away because there are children here. There's some children near me. I want to move away because I don't want to swear in front of children. But I'm going to have to swear now. Basically, if the economy's fucked, it's your fault. All right. That's what both these stories have in common, isn't it? So once again, it's like easy scapegoating, which is a common feature you get all the time. I mean, it seems like almost anyone, I mean, the media helps with this, as well as the government, they encourage it. Everyone gets blamed except those who are responsible. So if it's not people with swine flu, it's plumbers and other small businessmen, builders, painters and decorators who get paid cash in hand and then don't declare it as income. That's the reason we had this economic crash. People getting swine flu, they're not going off to their 9-to-5 drudgery for pittance, and they're not going out and shopping and buying things that they don't need, Again, that's the reason for economic woes and strifes. And it's almost like at no point will anyone even suggest that the bailout is the cause, when you consider that the bailout costs so much more. And I've said before, it's the unemployed. Yeah, that's it. Because if you remember, I've spoken before about the benefits system and the TV programs that are made demonising people on benefits. On Benefits and Proud, Benefit Street. These documentaries that are made and they're watched by millions of people. Fact of the matter is, the amount of money actually the bailout cost is the equivalent for the entire British social security budget at present rates for almost a century. Yet that money was spent in one fell swoop. £3.8 trillion given to the banking system in one go, one lump sum. It doubled the national debt overnight. It cost more than the wars. It actually cost more than World War II. Yeah, so why, oh why, are TV documentary makers like Channel 5 and Channel 4, why are they not making documentaries about the bailout? It's all a part of this, isn't it? It's all a part of the same thing. Like I said, it's something that makes me... It's almost beyond words and beyond the ability to comprehend how ludicrous and how contradictory it all is, and how paradoxical and oxymoronic and all these other words. Get your thesaurus out and run through the list. And of course we have a load. I've just been walking. I walked past here. The job centre hasn't opened yet. There's a load of people queuing. Some of them people, they brought their families along. They've got kids with them and stuff like that. And it's just horrible seeing these sites. I mean, I'm so lucky. I mean, I lost my job. I thought I was going to end up there, and I managed to get into alternative employment as a sole trader. I do gardening, house cleaning, things like that. And do I declare my income? Do I pay tax? Well, I don't think I'm actually earning enough money to pay tax. And if I did, would I? I think you know the answer to that, Panmo TV viewers. Thanks for watching. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.